Let Ray have his turn, please.
Unless I misunderstood Jan earlier when she gave examples of traveling, you said if you locomotively, if you just did this, it wasn't traveling. Traveling to you meant going out in space. That means that you've limited the definition of the word traveling. And every time you use the word traveling, you cannot mean traveling this much distance. You cannot mean that. So what word would you use?
Take a tiny step. What does that mean?
I mean, I'm talking about the generic term travel. You've already restricted the meaning of the word travel by putting a distance measurement on it.
I don't mean by distance measurement. I mean it in terms of your perception of being out into space versus feeling your weight shifting or doing hopping or skipping or jumping, where you're thinking about how much support you have, thinking about how your support is. It's more like the intention. The emphasis is on the foot patterns, the weight shift, the aerial versus going out in space. It doesn't have anything to do with the distance.
I'm being discouraged. You are going to focus on that. Really, am I right? I think that way.
Listen, we need to have a conversation that we're all part of.
Yeah.
I just would like to. Can I just add about this?
Do you want to? We're talking about size of travel. Ray asked Janis. Janis is replying. Then it's Martha, and then it's Ann.
Martha, it's you.
No.
So
Janis,
did you want to add to that?
I
mean, I was speaking of the size of travel. I mean, I think I'd be interested to check the dictionary. Number one. Number two is that this intentional piece that we're talking about, weight shift versus going through space, has something to do, for me, with repetitive action. That's all I want to say.
So you're saying if you just say one step, it cannot be traveled?
Well, no, I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what my argument is. That's what my
I'm
argument
not
is.
sure yet.
But in an Ellen sport, the minute you take more than one step, you need to draw a floor plan.
That's, okay,
That's
more
our-
than one
that's
step, it
more
might
than
be
one
the
step.
answer.
So if you draw, if you take one step, you don't need a floor plan.
I don't
More
know
than one
if
step.
it's really a limit of a distance or one step, because I just traveled to Martha
That's true.
in one
So I
step.
really don't know.
Right.
So the question, so it has, I think, to do more with intention, where if I'm right here, well, here I'm clearly not traveling, I'm all underneath myself, and I'm not going anywhere. But even if I, opened it up a little bit, it's really not about traveling, it's about the
Staying in place.
the
It's
shifting
positioning your way.
Yeah.
But if you
So, but if I take this step here, and that's only one step, I'm traveling over to Martha.
Yes,
right.
So there may be instructors
I
for
agree
you
with
to
Dr.
evaluate what it
Well, I
means.
raised my hand to get on the list.
Yeah,
I propose
you're on the list.
Because I abstained.
Okay, travel, to pass or make a journey from one place to another. To make a journey or journeys, to journey, as to travel for health, for pleasure, for improvement of life.
This is my dictionary. Where you go?
To go from place to place and a traveling salesman. As he traveled over 10
You get a 2004 collegiate dictionary that's a little bit more with the times.
Go online.
Get in there with Oxford online.
Yeah,
But still,
this is a little archaic.
But that one, to go from place, no, that's the traveling salesman, sorry.
Oxford Dictionary name.
To proceed or advance in any way, to move, to pass from one point or place to another.
But then on a floor plan, if you take one or two steps in one direction, we usually don't put floor
Depends,
plan.
sometimes.
No, I know if it's a box step or something, but that was part of the conception that you weren't traveling, so you didn't put the floor plan.
Well, instead of just
there
saying,
may be some
gesturing on a path, is to say your body part moving on through space on a path.
That's
There's
why we
so
have
many words. No, but I'm saying if I'm talking and
Charlotte, you're not next. It was Ann.
Sorry.
Ann was next.
2 points. I want to ask Charlotte,
Yeah.
do you ever use the sign B? I know you used to.
Oh, of
in your
course.
present-
Of course.
B?
Of course, because there are times that I'll teach a lesson
So you want
that's
to
about
stress
making pathways.
Okay, that's my, I thought maybe with your new symbol. that
No,
you would-
no.
okay.
I mean, if I'm working with 4 and
Oh, I-
5-year-olds,
okay. No, I'm sorry, darling, but you do.
you're right.
You want to be generous in your explanation.
Okay, no, the answer is.
The other point is, I had the occasion when teaching traveling, and I said, this is one movement, and I was told, no, because your feet are doing this. And I said, yes, they are doing that because my center of weight is going in space, and the feet accommodate, but it is one basic movement action. So I think it's important that we are aware of this difference between that.
Because you can have all kinds of interesting rhythms for the feet and still have it be about traveling.
Well, if you start getting interesting rhythms with the feet, then you've got two things.
Exactly.
Feet patterns.
Exactly. But you can differentiate between the two.
Yeah.
Okay, was there anybody else in line? Jimmyle?
Yeah, I'm in line, I guess. I just wanted to say something about what Martha was saying about how she doesn't sense the action of the arm moving through space as being traveling. And I wanted to honor that because I think it's got to do with something about the sense of the body. And we need it. It's important. But I also think that there is a lot of evidence that that is a form of traveling as well. And we use language. So I just didn't want to have that not still be up for question.
It was in the dictionary, cause of a machine moving.
Yeah, but
That's right.
But I want to know how we use it, not so much what the dictionary
Or
says.
how we define it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's part of the language already. English language.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'd like to go back at what's on the board to see, because this has been hard to keep track of. Before we move forward, I need to go back. Before we travel forward. Going.
Before the whole body.
I don't know where this goes, which column. Anyway, what I have here is I have the term traveling, and we have these two different symbols for traveling. Or
But they're
maybe the word is
distinct.
going. It gets. Then we have this symbol, which some people think is to travel, and for some people it's travel on any path, and you're considering both ideas, the traveling and the path, or going on a path. Then I have word, we have going, we have traveling, we have moving through space. Then I have this symbol, and I think we were all in agreement that that was traveling for a body part. Is that correct?
We're using the word travel.
The gestural path.
Moving through space.
There could be the whole torso.
Did you write K up there?
No,
Is that
Wait a minute, let's see.
That's what gesture is in motif.
So gestural
A
path,
non-weight-bearing movement.
is gestural path agreeable? All right,
Halfway, yeah.
so
It's
this
moving
we were
along.
kind of in agreement that it's a gestural pathway.
I
Okay,
think we're missing the moving or going. I mean, it's got to have some, it's moving along. Yes?
Say that, what is it say up there?
The gestural pathway. But we're saying that this progression is going.
Yeah.
That's the difference between
Gesture.
Well, it would-
F
And Charlotte's trying to do a distinction between.
Anyway, wait, let's just-
No, but I see what Martha's
wait,
saying.
wait. So this one, gesture on a pathway? A gesture going on a pathway?
Gesture on a pathway, but I like the idea of them doing it with the moving, the goingness, as opposed to, although the pathway implies that.
No, I don't know.
Gesture on a pathway and a sense of goingness.
Eileen, I think you need my help.
Just a second. Let me just, I know she's next, but
Okay.
let me just finish. And then she's next.
Thank you.
Then we have this, which I don't know quite where it goes. We have locomotion, which was the body through space. And then we had gesture and the idea of gesturing through space. Then we had this symbol, which I think we're in agreement with going for that symbol. Is that okay?
My only problem, though I understand the problem of the word traveling within this certain application, again, I'm reiterating that when I struggled with this and tried to write about it, and every time I come to that symbol, I have to describe it. Then I have 4 words, 5 words to say the whole body moving through space as opposed to locomotion, opposed to one word. Locomotion on a path or the whole body.
What this could be either.
But we just said this was going to be
It's all
going.
words. It's a long word.
Yes, I have one word here. I have going.
Going.
That's only one word.
Yeah, that's good.
That this,
Going on a
this
path.
symbol is going. No, this isn't going on a path for you, Charlotte. For you, this is going on a path. So,
Yeah.
so this is just going.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Instead of traveling now.
Then I'm not sure what Charlotte's problem is.
I don't know either.
Anyway, then we have, with the body part moving through space, there was some disagreement, and I put this in the other column because it's conceptual, about whether that can be considered traveling or whether that's not traveling.
Great. So you've
Great.
articulated the problems.
That's great. Which symbol?
No symbol.
Oh.
The concept of a body part moving in space, some people felt that that is a kind of a traveling, and some people did not think of that as being traveling. Tina.
I thought I was clear, now I'm getting confused.
I am too.
So, because you have up there where you have the word traveling, and then you have the two symbols.
Yes.
Maybe
you
personally,
want to put
for
slash
me,
going.
well, why?
Don't
Why?
That's what Charlotte's struggling with.
I mean, the thing is that for me, those two symbols are embodied within B on the board, and Peggy Hackney feels the same way. We talked about this.
Yeah.
They're embodied, but they mean.
Right, I understand that, I understand that.
Postural, that's the question.
That's
Could
why I
be
had it in a
gestural.
disagreement
No, that's
column.
not the issue.
Hang on,
Let Tina have her turn. Let her have her turn.
So I don't know if those two symbols being horizontally across from traveling honors what Charlotte was saying about making the distinction between going and going on a pathway. So I don't think those two symbols should be there together.
Well, yes, but for traveling, the idea of traveling or going, Charlotte is using this symbol and other people are using this symbol. We're not equating them. We're saying some are using one and some are using the other for the same meaning.
But you're not using the term traveling for A.
Well,
For our
yeah, I was.
We were at the beginning of the
I was
conversation.
saying the word traveling, and then that there are two kinds of traveling. There's traveling through the whole body, i.e. locomotion, or there is traveling with the body part, which is gesturing. And my only problem is not with the words, but the fact that I have to tell you
But you
10
just
million
did it,
words.
locomotion gesturing.
But when you, yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, but that's not what.
But I'm saying but then the generic term, you're saying you cannot travel, a body part cannot travel.
The generic term, which is going.
Right.
But,
That's not a generic term, okay.
Jimmy
All right,
Lee.
you'll work on
it's
it.
just,
Jimmy Lee.
Can I interject another linguistic idea? One of the things that we're talking about here is the aspect of the experience, and that means the internal viewpoint of the person that is experiencing it. And I think you might have something going on there about how does it feel to be going, as opposed to how does it feel to be going along. We use different prepositions and
That's right.
verbs to mean these things. So if we really want to embody that aspectual notion in notation, then you have those two ideas. And I think going is the best English word for your new one with the arrow on the end, and traveling is the best one for B.
so you would be gesturally, there's gesture going, gestural going on. There is going, there is
Going
Tina?
gesturally.
there is gestural going, there is locomotor going, there is gestural going on a path, and there is locomotor going on a path. And so what we're doing is changing the word traveling, what I was calling traveling, just changing that to the word going. How does that sound?
Going sounds good to me. All those others
How do other
seem
people
like the
feel
next
that?
level.
Yeah, they are a nice level.
If you have to
Well,
choose
I think
between
that's what she
traveling
did.
and
She
going,
has to feel comfortable with all of that.
If I were to choose between traveling and going, I would choose traveling because in my experience with foreign language students coming to study here, the concept of going is really hard. I don't know, traveling for them, it changes over easier. And go, it's like we've had so much difficulty with the shaping and shape and, you know, and going because it's the ing word. And
Yeah.
it's
Because
really
traveling
hard.
is kind of, you know, you
Traveling
think about
has
the space
better.
and then
But
from
is
one
it just
to
the
another. But for
Oh,
me, going is from location A to location B. There's intentional to go to that location. I'm
What
going
is
to
the movie, is
More
how you get there as opposed to destination.
And
I just think travel is
In the
much
Oxford
easier.
Dictionary, the two that we're talking about, the most generic, compact Oxford English Dictionary. Travel, as a verb, number 3 says move or go from one place to another. Whereas go, the first definition as a verb is move to or from a place.
You know, for me, I think like, God, I've been going all day, and I don't think of arriving or a destination. I feel like just kind of like a hamster in one of the wheels. Where traveling, I feel either a destination, like I'm going to somewhere, or I feel a journey where I'm actually taking in where I am rather than just spinning my own wheels.
Interesting.
Okay.
And I think that's also what you're thinking of with visual.
Now it was Anne's turn. She was next on the list.
Well, I was going to bring in a little past history, which may or may not be of some value. When I started the idea, years and years ago, back in the 60s, that there can be gestural pathways, straight, circular, etc. And Aberkalns said, no, the limbs cannot make paths. You have to cut off your arm, and then it can make a path.
I can
But you said something more. The point is, it is the extremity of the limb, or whatever the extremity might be, sometimes not bad, that is making the path. And in a few years, oh yes, of course the limbs can make.
Yeah.
Which brings me back to what I was going to ask before, or just state, is that the sign with the hole in the bottom is that while I use, and even in the beginning stages, the lava notation, the any limb, like you have, there's just a huge history in the LMA community of using the hold sign.
Right.
Because they haven't, because most people without any background in the notation at all look at that limb thing, and it's really, that the concept of that, the why the symbol's like that. It's a complicated symbol to write, and it's hard to understand why it is, and to put that little hold sign on the bottom and say it's the base that's held, and the, you know, the desk, you know, it's the free end. It's the, that's like a really easy thing. You can teach it in a minute, and we have used that for years and years and years. So I know that you're preferring E and L.
But again,
But there's a huge community of LMA people who are still using this.
What are the criteria?
Who are using F?
F, and would be using K, you know, if they knew about it.
Okay.
Ellen, you and your move, and in the new you move, are you, in the revised revision of you move, are you keeping the whole time?
Yes.
Can I
For
ask?
gestural pathway.
All right, wait a minute.
Okay.
Tina, it's Tina's turn. You have to wait. She put something up on the board there that's wonderful.
This is my understanding of what we've been discussing. So the top is the going, is the general goingness, traveling, it's all inclusive. And then the distinction of a body part, sorry, you can't really see it. If you stand real close, you can. The body part going, or the body as a whole going. And then underneath that, then you would have the added intention of going with a distinct pathway, so traveling, so gestural pathway on the left, and a traveling pathway being the whole body going through space. And then you'd have your sub-levels of specifics. So that's how it's organizing in my thinking.
But, how do you say for the gestural pathway and the traveling pathway, how do you say go on a pathway that is either whole body or body part? We have that on the top.
We need one more symbol and one more language
For
to go with
me,
it.
traveling, what you have for traveling pathway, which you said was whole body, is either. It's without a pre-sign. It's you're not making a statement about body portion involvement. If you want to make
It doesn't distinguish gesture or.
you could, right, for exactly, Eileen. Body part going is either those. All right, now you have to then say, now we're going to talk about pathway. You have to have three options. One option is you make a pathway and you travel on a pathway, or you go on a pathway, whichever. The second one is you locomote, i.e. the whole body does it, or a body part does it, i.e. you gesture. You have to have those three options.
So
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
It's exactly what Janis put on the board. So when I teach any path, the red one on the far right, I allow for gestural, is this true?
right.
Gestural or whole body.
Or whole body, and then if I want to specify, then I specify what it is.
And I'm so,
Right.
an agreement.
So we've got this as a generic going, it could be the whole body.
That's it.
We've got this as a generic going, it could be the whole body or it could be a limb. We've got this for a generic going on a path, and it could be the whole body or the limb.
Can I make not a limb? It could be
A body part.
a body part.
A body part.
Yes, but this is a limb in the sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my arm does that, my
Okay.
torso does that.
A body
So
part or a
clarify
limb,
that.
depending upon whichever term you want to use.
Okay, so we have, again, going, whole body or body part, going on a path, whole body or body part. Then we have body part specifically going, we don't, or whole body specifically going, body part specifically gesturing on a pathway, or whole body traveling on a pathway.
Okay, and then
I
you
think
want to
I have
add
to-
that's right.
I want to add too that having said what I said, I have to, intellectually, I think that, but I have to say in my practice,
Right.
that when I use the any pathway sign, the left one on the far
You mean
right,
could be
The red.
I 99% of the time mean that to be the whole body
Right,
traveling around the
that's what
space.
you, that's your, in your application, that's the way you
Yeah.
do it. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But if I'm working with kids or a group, or kids or adults that I'm introducing the material to for the first time, I will let that be a body part or the whole body, just to get them exploring the idea of traveling. But I would pretty quickly make the distinction of the whole body and the body part. So
Okay, that's.
So the only thing,
Would you be willing to read, I really am still struggling, I love the word traveling myself, but I really was interested in what your reason was for not liking that word because of some material that I'm not as facile with. Could you talk about
It
that?
relates back to the word locomotion mostly. So
Okay.
if I can divorce travel from locomotion, then I could probably go with travel. But you can't locomote with just your arm or just the trunk moving through space. And that's the piece I'm getting at. So if I can divorce travel from locomotion, okay, I can fit travel.
So
But
for
me,
you, the
travel,
word
locomotion,
locomotion means the body as a whole,
moving through space,
moving through space,
usually through repetitive
gesturing, and gesture, that means the non-weight bending body part moving through, and the word traveling,
implies locomotion for me, but I could get over it after today's discussion.
there's nothing specific, it's a feeling, you're using that
Because I
word.
want to get people traveling through space
Right,
usually,
right.
which is a locomotor act. And I feel that if you can let
That makes sense.
passive children in today's society feel that this is traveling, they're going to do that instead of move through space. I mean, it has a real spectacular kind of quality.
I was just wondering, Charlotte, is this the point where we should bring up our differences in opinion about whether it's understood to be the whole, the body as a whole, or that it's open? This is one thing Charlotte and I so far have agreed upon. In the Your Move book, the basic indications we understand to be interpreted as an action of the body as a whole.
Like a turn one.
And, yes, or traveling. And then we get down to being more specific. And I have to say, although I absolutely follow Charlotte's logic, I mean, I credit her with developing most of this, but I suppose it's coming from my Laban background, the sense that you want the whole body to be supporting, involved with the movement. And so I don't like it when a student does that because they want the hand to be forward middle. I say forward middle symbol and they do that. And I just think you're not moving, you're not getting the sense of the direction of what it means and all the rest. So that's where I'm coming from on that. And
Well, we decided to have this interesting dialogue here. Well, it seems to me, first of all, you have to decide whether it's important to have in the system these three alternatives. Or there are two possibilities, I see. There's the possibility of saying that the symbols can represent either whole body or body part. That's one idea. Then there's another idea where I'm coming from that says you have to have three ideas, that it's either that it's body portion, generic, the body portion is not relevant, it's open to interpretation, it's either or, body portions, body part. Then, if you agree, then that's making an assumption that you have to have all three, and you say that a symbol like a turn sign indicates by default a whole body sign, and a turn sign with a body portion, a body part pre-sign indicates body part, then how do you say either? And I say, in my opinion, I'm getting back to the sign, except for the signs where by definition is a whole body movement, that the plain unmodified sign in my mind only says what it says. It says turn. It shouldn't say anything more about body portion involvement. Whereas Anne, I think, is saying, in a funny way, kind of coming from an LMA point of view, she's saying, but by default, we want them to turn the whole body. So then we come back and say, all right, even if you have the three, it's a Charlotte, you see?
Charlotte, I totally agree with her logic. Absolutely. But I haven't felt the need.
Okay.
And in the teaching we have done, and maybe I'm wrong, that we have felt that if you go from the one to the other, I've never had a student say, but what if I want to write it? Because they're so busy just getting into understanding the movement, they're not that symbol-based. I think when you get to the symbol, oh, I want this choice, this choice, this choice.
But I'm saying that if I say that the turn sign is a whole body sign, it doesn't leave me the option of saying let's turn.
Unless you modify it.
And that's where our disagreement is.
I know, and we agree to disagree.
I think that's an application issue too.
Yeah,
Because I'm not always that strict with it. With a rotation sign, when I'm not always that strict to say, oh, you can't do that, you have to do it with your whole body. If they're twisting and they're rotating and they're embodying that concept, that's good enough for me. But if I teach them the distinction between body part twisting and whole body turning, and it's being specified, boy, there needs to be representation of that understanding. If there isn't, then I know that I've not been effective teaching something.
This comes back to the issue of is there going to be any standard for the system? Because if you have a system, if you say, well, it depends upon what your application is, and I see a plain sign for turn, and you say, all right, in this application, it's going to mean whole body. And it depends upon your application. Are we going to have any standard?
Yeah.
Because then
I think this is something we're not going to solve today.
No, but those are the questions.
But I agree, those are the questions. And I just want to acknowledge too that sometimes in the past when you've suggested something, in my young naive